Hello, friends. Welcome to Sana's Dialogues. I'm your host for today's show, Abhinav Pandya, CEO of Sana's Foundation. And today we are joined by Mr. Mohammed M. Farid. He is an expert on the Middle Eastern affairs. He served as member Egyptian House of Representatives. He's a former senator and currently serves as Secretary General for the Committee on Human Rights, House of Representatives, Egypt. A very, very warm welcome to you, Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you very much. So good to be there with you.
Thank you. So as we know that we are going through a very critical time. We are waiting for the second round of the ceasefire talks, but somehow it seems that they don't seem to be happening, and it's like the wait in the eternity. And everyone is actually expecting some peace, if not a long-lasting solution or a peace to this crisis in the Middle East, and at least some sort of a temporary ad hoc peace, so that things can get back to the normal. But then where there are severe and very serious long-standing issues in this crisis, and I think we are going to discuss them today. And we have Mr. Mohammed, who has been a keen, I would say, student and a keen observer of the Middle Eastern politics and the Middle Eastern inter-country dynamics and the security situation. So my first question to you, Mr. Mohammed, let us begin with your general assessment of the situation. So, if you can give us a brief wrap up, in about 3-4 minutes, then we can begin with the questions. Thank you.
Well, the situation, we are in crisis in the Middle East, obviously, and it has its spillover all over the globe in a sense. The situation is still fluid. Today, Arakji in Moscow, President Trump meeting with his team in the situation room to see how things are. Surprisingly, the ceasefire is still holding, but the negotiations is still.
Mohammed, can you be a little louder? I think your voice is a bit low.
I'm sorry. Let me try to. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, slightly better. But if you can make it a little louder, it'll be better.
Sure. I'll give me a moment, please. Yeah, it's in the adjustments. Yeah, is that clearer or better?
Better, yes.
Oh, okay. So as I was saying, that we still living in a crisis in the Middle East, that it has its own impact globally. The ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. still holding. But the negotiations doesn't seem that it's moving as we hope to see it going on. The crisis with the Hormuz Strait, it's still there. There is a U.S. naval blockade from one hand. The other hand, there is still Iranian rejection to open it. So in a way, it's a fluid situation, and still all possibilities could happen. As I was just earlier saying, that President Trump is meeting with his team in the situation room to study the answer from Iran. So it's a critical moment, and hopefully we can see things moving forward in a better way that can resolve the key issues on the table, which is, of course, the freedom of the navigation, ending the Iranian menace to the globe, to their own people, to the Gulf, to the region, making sure that the nuclear question being answered clearly with the enriched uranium, the ballistic capabilities, putting a restriction on it, security guarantees to the region and the neighbors. And finally, making sure that all this should not repeat again, and of course the proxies of Iran also being restrained and deterred.
Thank you very much. So, how do you look at the future of the U.S. in the Middle East? I mean, are the Sunni Arab states confused? Are they going to explore other options like Moscow, Beijing, or maybe Islamabad? Or, I mean, you see the US getting weaker in the Middle East, or do you see the bonds between the Sunni Arab states and the US becoming more stronger, given the fact that the Arab states realize it very well now how dangerous the situation is, and they'll need more military assistance and also the military capabilities, and for that matter, US seems indispensable. However, we have also seen that the American systems, their defense systems, protection systems could not prevent them, and they had to face major losses from the Iranian attacks. So how do you look at the overall situation? I mean, the future of the US in the Middle East?
It's clear to everyone that the U.S. Middle East relations is important, strategic, and it's pivotal for everyone's benefit. And it goes both directions. For the Arab states, including Egypt, the U.S. is an important partner, a strategic partner, not only in defense, but in many other aspects. The US would like to see its partner in the region are capable of standing for themselves, defending themselves, and can take care of the business. And on these bases, I think that as the situation is moving forward, there will be more deepened partnership between the Arab countries and the United States in defense, in economy, in many aspects. Yet, having this strong partnership doesn't mean necessarily that there will be how can I say it, a reliance 100% on the US defense capabilities. I think we will see many of the Arab countries would like to build its own defense capabilities, whether manufacturing its own weapons or defense system, or nationalize it in its own in its own countries. We saw talks, for example, between the Arab Gulf states and Ukraine in drone defense, and I believe there will be kind of new framework, a new defense framework in the region, and definitely the United States will be a main partner in that. But again, this doesn't mean that there will be dependence on the United States to take care of the business. I think that the Arab countries will work harder in building their own defense capabilities.
Thank you. So when you say that Arab countries will work harder in building their own defense capabilities, do you mean just building drone or missile capabilities, or even I mean, does that include building a standing army, fully functional? I mean, a proper conventional defense capabilities. What exactly do you mean by that? And just adding another question to this, we often hear about this emergence of Arab NATO. And recently, it came to the limelight that Pakistan's strategic mutual defense agreement with Saudi Arabia, it's going to extend, and Turkey and Egypt are likely to join it. So, do you see this new, I would say, defense arrangement within this context, quote unquote, or I mean, can you just be a little more, I would say, concrete, like while defining this new? I know it's a difficult, challenging question, but still, I mean, since given your expertise, we would love to know your thoughts.
Indeed, it's a challenging question given the current circumstances. But let me tell you something. Back in 2015 and over the years, actually, Egypt had proposed and suggested that there will be kind of coordination and kind of mutual security framework for the Arab countries to be able to stand against the mutual threats that facing the region. Not solely, again, not solely about the conventional warfare, because you're seeing the conventional warfare is being changed, but there were several security threats that have been facing this region, whether radicalization, terrorism, and piracy, etc. So that was on the table, but the framework that was proposed, I think labeling as an Islamic NATO, I don't think this is very accurate in a sense. I think it would be more toward, more coordination, more interreliance in that manner. Giving also, as you mentioned earlier, that the mutual defense arrangement or agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, there are other defense frameworks between Arab Gulf countries and several other countries, for example, between the United States and several Arab Gulf countries, France, Turkey, and so on. So I believe there will be a new kind of coordination and a new kind of a framework, but I don't think it will materialize in a NATO like sense. But it would be more, I think, at least in the beginning, it would be more about building the defense capabilities of the Arab countries and making sure that they can stand against that kind of threats that we've seen, and these kind of atrocities that we've seen over the past few weeks, or couple of months actually, by the Iranian regime.
So you mentioned about this new emerging framework on defense, and you said that there'll be better coordination. Are there any region-specific challenges to this coordination? I mean, what I want to ask is that is there some sort of unanimity between all the Arab states, among the states? I mean, a complete agreement to come up with such an arrangement? Because we see a lot of differences, like Saudi and the UAE. They're clashing in multiple theaters in Africa, in Yemen, and definitely Turkish regime. I mean, Turkey's Erdogan government has very Islamist tendencies. We have done enough research at Usana's Foundation on their activities in India and in the various other African countries and other global theaters. Their ties with the Pakistan, also the, I would say, terror groups of Kashmir, it's very widely known. Qatar also, we know that Qatar's regime had sympathies with the Muslim Brotherhood. So, and on the other hand, UAE seems to be very active in, I would say, in UAE's passion and enthusiasm for the final solution of the Iranian regime seems much more urgent and much more sincere. So, given these internal differences, I mean, how do you look at the future of this regional security architecture?
And this is why I told you it would be far from the label of NATO, or the idea of Arab Islamic NATO. It would be more on coordination. It would be more on building the defense capabilities for these countries to stand on its own, against the different kind of threats that it's facing. I agree with you that there are many different views to the nature of the threats itself. But right now, in this situation, we see that the Iranian regime is bombing, the infrastructure and the civilian infrastructure and facilities in the Arab Gulf countries. We see that the thousands of drones and missiles being fired at UAE, at Bahrain, at Kuwait, at Qatar, at Saudi Arabia. We see all that, and there is also one important thing that geography doesn't change. So on the two banks of the Gulf, there will be Iran and there will be the Arab countries, and this is one of the things that you have to or the challenges that you have to deal with. And this is comes what you mentioned about, for example, dealing with the Iranian regime. How are we going to deal with the Iranian regime, and will this regime could be trusted and have a durable, long-lasting peace, not long-lasting, even sustainable peace, or will they just repeat the atrocities again? So I think that the basic things will be strengthen defense capabilities, coordination, making sure that such atrocities never be repeated again, and there is a present clear threat to the Arab Gulf countries by the current Iranian regime.
And for let's say, imagine, I mean, for this the ceasefire in the future, if the Iranian regime insists on the tolling of, like, levying taxes, tolls from the ships passing through the Hormuz Strait, is that going to be a red line for the Arab states? I mean, a completely non-starter, non-acceptance. I mean, or if they insist and if the situation arises, are they going to make peace with that?
I don't think this is acceptable for anyone, not only the Arab countries, but anyone around the world, because first of all, this is against the very basics, of the international law. Adding to that, you cannot just subject, to a country that taking the freedom of navigation and the global economy as a hostage and hold it at a gunpoint. This threat is unacceptable by anyone. And I think that the Iranians just raising the demands, but they realize that this is unacceptable by anyone, and I don't think that this is a workable thing for anyone, all over the world, because hypothetically speaking, if this ever been done, it will have its severe impact on the freedom of navigation all over the world, and you will see a disruption on the entire global supply chains, whether on the straits in Asia or on the Red Sea or in the Gulf or anywhere else. So that will be just given in, for some evil actors to take the world hostage, and we will be just financing them.
So, thank you. Some Western scholars like Dr. Robert Pape, they've suggested that after this, I mean, because of the so-called symbolic victory that the Iranian regime has managed to achieve, is going to make Iran into a new power center in the region, and also very critical to the global power play, also called, or the great power rivalry that's going on in this world, which is also a critical part of the multipolarization process that is unfolding in front of us. Okay. So far, I mean, given that, I would like to know your thoughts on the future of the Iranian regime. I mean, are they weakened? How long they can last? Are they going to survive? Will there be a domestic opposition? And what is the likely solution? I mean, what can be the likely arrangements of reaching a modus vivendi with them?
Um, Again, these are extremely important questions and very tough questions to tackle with. But I believe this is why we are here to think together about it. Uh, First of all, the course of action, the course of war, had led toward Iran turning to be more, or the Iranian regime to be more radicalized, to be under the guards. And now, from the reports that have been published here and there, that the guards have the upper hand right now. And also with the reports that have been published here and there, that they are under severe economic stress. The question it's about how this regime will be shifted or transitioned, because by the end of the day, the priorities are first of all to tackle the 4 or 5 important issues, which are the enriched uranium, the nuclear capabilities, the ballistic capabilities that support for the proxies, the freedom of navigation, and the security guarantees for the region. So we're gonna do that. That's an important thing, and how we make sure these things are happening. Not just taking all the time you want, for a negotiation, and thinking that they can outlast the other negotiating party, because by the end of the day, they believe that they are there, they're staying there, presidents come and go, but the guards are there. So this is one thing. The other thing, how to make sure that you don't create a power vacuum that ended up by a collapse for the country, because if you did that, you will end up by a massive disaster on every level. You will see terrorist acts everywhere, piracy in the Gulf, waves of migration all over the place. So these need to be calibrated. And one of the most important factors that among the, uh, the current events that we don't see a lot, it's about the Iranian people themselves, and how these people, been taking hostages, have been took hostage for over 4 decades now under such a regime. And all the proceeds, all the money that this regime can get, they just divert it toward their proxies, they divert it toward their own benefit, and you ended up by dire situation for the people there, and who dare to oppose them is being killed, and dragged on the street. So the future of the regime, I believe it depends highly on how the negotiations and how the war will end. I don't think that Iran will emerge as a new power center. I don't think that. I don't think that the region can live with uh, a malevolent regime like the Iranian regime, and would be willing to turn an eye, on their atrocities, and make and going for long negotiations, and then all of a sudden we see these atrocities taking place again, and being subjected to such kind of blackmailing, if that's a proper term. Um, so in a nutshell, I don't think that Iran will emerge as a power center. They are in dire economic situation. They are suffering a lot. The Iranian people, who matters the most, are suffering the most, unfortunately. The problem right now with the current course of action, that the regime have been radicalized a lot, and this is something need to be tackled throughout negotiations and after the negotiations, and how to make sure there is a transition and the Iranian people, those genuine people in the streets being heard, and without all the ideas of going, and do a regime change from abroad, because this will create a severe power vacuum with a horrible consequences for the Iranian people and for the regime, for the region.
Thank you. Recently, I was going through some developments and came to know that Qatar doesn't seem to be much enthusiastic about hosting Hamas or even financing them anymore after the massive Iranian attacks. So, given that situation, everyone seems to think that Turkey is going to be the next, I would say, benefactor host of Hamas. That's one development. Besides that, given the fact that the Iran is much weakened, how do you look at the emergence of Turkey or Turkey's position in the entire regional geostrategic calculus? And do you think that the Turkey-Israel situation is going to be the next conflict flashpoint in the region?
I don't think that that will happen. Turkey to be the next flashpoint, in the region. Yes, there are many disagreements. We can disagree with the Turkish regime, but again, Turkey is a NATO state member. Turkey has a deep and long relationship with Israel, as well as with Arab and Islamic countries. So the current positioning of Turkey, I don't think that it will lead toward more conflict. Most importantly, is while we see all the unfolding situation happening everywhere, there are two things we need to look at. First, the weakening of Iranian proxies, and this is important thing, and also this is something need to be tackled also with the negotiation with Iran, that to end the support for these proxies and to end that threat. Not only they are not only a regional threat, but they are a global threat, and we see, for example, what Hezbollah and other proxies did all over the globe, not just in our region. So this is an important thing. The other thing is about the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian issue, and how can we make sure that there is a progress happening in the Palestinian territories, whether in Gaza or the West Bank, and making sure that we are creating a political horizon for the people there, so we don't end up by another wave of radicalization, and after a few years from now we see another cycle of violence and atrocities taking place. The good thing that now Hamas is under pressure from everyone, and that's something good. We'd like to see a disarmament there. We'd like to give the Palestinian people, the Gazans, who have been also subjected to all kind of atrocities by Hamas from one side, and being under the severe bombardment on the other side during the October 7 war, and the months after that. So they need kind of agency. They need to have their voices heard. They need an opportunity for a decent living and a political horizon. And given that these people have been under the rule of Hamas for so many years, seeing younger Gazans over the past few months, even during the war, going in demonstrations against Hamas, and most of them are very young, 18 something, 20 something, and surprisingly, these people didn't see any other kind of government. And this can give you a clear example of how these people would like to get rid of this kind of governance model, and how they are thriving, for kind of better living, and a horizon. So I think that one of the positive things or the positive outcomes of the current situation that we're seeing, the proxies being weakened, and hopefully that the support for Iran and the Iranian support for the proxies and the support for the proxies being ended and allowing the Arab countries that have been hijacked and taken hostage by the Iranian proxies could really, have a space to breathe, and a future to look at.
Thank you. You raised a very, very crucial issue about the position of the proxies, and it seems that with the Iranian regime weakened and a very intense and a successful military effort by the Israeli forces, it seems that the proxy organizations are going through the worst phase in the Middle East right now. So again, in this context, I want to know. I mean, do you think that the disarming of Hezbollah and Hamas is it workable? Is it possible? I mean, to what extent it can be achieved? This is my first question. And
I'm sorry,
secondly,
the sound
the,
breaking on your first question. Can you repeat it? You broke
yeah,
up.
I just repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said that, well, given the fact that the Iranian regime is weakened and the proxy forces are facing a massive military action from the Israeli forces, so they seem to be in the worst phase of their existence in the Middle East. They'll be desperate for hunting new funders, finances, coordinators, supporters. And within this context, do you think that this is the best time to completely disarm Hezbollah and Hamas, and to what extent it can be achieved? Is it possible? This is my first question. And second question is about the Muslim Brotherhood. In the US, I think the recently ban was imposed on them. So what is, and I'm asking this question because Muslim Brotherhood has lately started impacting the security situation in South Asia also. So, what I want to say is that Muslim Brotherhood is a slightly different kind of a proxy organization. I mean, it's not like a conventional terror group like Hamas or Hezbollah entering in the fray with the weapons or guns, but effectively they are making what the role that they are playing, that's very crucial in sustaining this whole army of proxy organizations, terrorist groups. So, what do you think the future and how can this menace be addressed? And secondly, is the disarming of Hezbollah and Hamas achievable or not?
Well, first of all, let's start by the Brotherhood. I totally agree with you that they're a terrorist group. They are like this mythical creature of the Hydra, with all these tentacles and heads and so on. And this is why we need a global action against them. And uh, it's important to realize that threat, whether it's in the South Asia, in the Middle East, in my own country. Until now, while we got rid of them, we designate them as a terrorist group, but still they are working on this different model. They are not only an armed group. They have armed groups and sympathizers, but they also have media outreach. They also have a recruitment. They also have this kind of propaganda. So they work on every level. They have this vast network of NGOs and charities going all over the globe. So it's a major threat to all of us, and it's important to stand against them and facing them. And they are thriving on the victimhood and thriving on turning facts uh, toward a mythical fallacies of being subjected to prosecution and so on. And right now, seeing the proxies being defeated, and as you mentioned that they're looking for new supporters or something like that. Again, the course of this war and the negotiations and how it will go through it will impact an important question of the radicalization and how this could either create a new wave of radicalization or end it. And let me give you some examples. During the 12 Days War, the Brotherhood issued, the Muslim Brotherhood issued an official statement supporting Ayatollah Khamenei by that time and showing solidarity against the American and Israeli war against them, saying that we need to put aside our sectarian differences, but we need to stand together against this kind of what they call it, Zionist invasion or something like that. And we moved together to liberate Jerusalem. Parallel to that, there is a group that operating in Turkey under the name of Maidan Project, which is a radical Islamic revolutionary group basically founded and managed by Egyptian members of the Brotherhood who had fled to Turkey after the June 30th revolution here in Egypt. And while they have this kind of propaganda and intellectual project called Maidan, they do have another terrorist group called Hasm, and this terrorist group is actually convicted in committing a lot of terrorist operations here in Egypt. So this is the kind of hybrid model that they are working on, and they will use any kind of vacuum, they will use any kind of signs of victimhood to start to recruit, especially the younger generation, and create more followers for them and recruit more terrorists to them so they can practice their influence. So this is important that we see more coordinated and more global action against the Brotherhood with its different chapters, with its different hybrid models, whether charities, NGOs, media outlets, whatever vehicles that are using, we need to be aware of it and tackling it. For the other part, when it comes to the proxies and the disarmament of Hamas and Hezbollah, I believe this is an important issue, and I believe it's about the moment. Now we see that there is a willingness and there is a support in Lebanon, for example, to disarm Hezbollah, and the Lebanese people are fed up, with the atrocities of Hezbollah and how they drag them to a war after a war, and the conflict after a conflict. The same thing goes right now in Hamas, and we see some progress in that manner, when it comes to the disarmament and moving forward with the other phases. So I believe this is a moment where some serious damage to the proxies could be done, and for the people that have been suffering from the proxies atrocities can finally start to move forward toward better conditions.
Thank you very much. This seems to be a great news. Now, moving on to the Israeli side. Okay. So,
Yeah.
what, in your opinion, is the impact of this war on the perception among the Arab governments about the future of the Palestinian cause? And a question which is related to this, given that what, in your opinion, is going to be the nature of the future Arab-Israel relationship, that is the Abraham Accords, what's your take on this?
Look, right now there is a lot of distrust between, at least here in Egypt, the Egyptians and the current Israeli government. The problem with the attitude of the Israeli government, the current Israeli government, that it's extremist government. It eroded all kind of trust, and there is this sense. Let me be clear that there is this sense among a lot of Egyptians and a lot of Arab countries too, that there is no peace partner in Israel. And the current Israeli government is just acting violently and in a very irresponsible way toward its neighbors, and jeopardizing the peace itself. So we hope that we see in the upcoming election a better kind of government that can build bridges of trust again, and can lead toward more stable Middle East. Because with the kind attitude of I don't know the proper term for it, but the kind offensive attitude, opening up all these fronts and wars, with even with all the far right members of the government that also making the situation worse in the West Bank. It doesn't help, and it's not how can I say it? It's not constructive way of building confidence and trust, or can create even stability, because there is this kind of perception that they may just, they are loose cannons, and then they may just do whatever they want, and attack any other countries. And one of the breaking points, for example, firing a rocket at Qatar while hosting the negotiations, and this was an aggression that was uncalled for, and it worsened the situation. So simply that I think that we need to see more responsible party, more responsible government in Israel, that can really appreciate and understand that the peace and stability built in different way than the current far right government is acting.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. So I have like real last two quick questions, and anyone from the audience, from the participants, if you want to ask a question, maybe we can take a few, let's say 3 to 4 questions. Please feel free to type it in the chat box. Before that, I'll share my 2 final questions. So first one is, I mean, are we moving towards some bigger war? That's do you think that, I mean, is it a possibility, like, if the ceasefire talks fail, and maybe a much bigger conflict entangling other powers also?
Look, with the current fluidity of the situation, everything is possible, but still, again, I'd like to think that we might don't slide toward a total chaos. Again, military action that took place was very successful. It achieved a lot of tactical successes, but still it didn't resolve the main issues there, meaning that the enriched uranium, the nuclear capabilities, the ballistic missiles, etc. And this is why you need kind of coercive diplomacy to make sure that this kind of issues being resolved, and this kind of threat is ended once and for all, and we don't see another cycle of Iranian threat or very long negotiations that they can outlast the negotiator. So I believe we need a calibrated action, a coercive diplomacy in one hand, and making sure that uh, all the issues being addressed properly, and we get a real solid and concrete steps, not just an empty promises by the Iranians, because we cannot just trust the Iranian promises.
Thank you. So, just a final question. So, given the fact that the Americans have received, if not, I would say, tactical, some sort of strategic setbacks in the region, now that brings to my mind the future of some other external stakeholders in the region. And those external stakeholders, for me, I would say three prime stakeholders. That's first is China, Moscow, and Pakistan. So, what do you think about that?
Look, I'll tell you one thing. Ever since I was a kid, okay, I read that there is a new Middle East is emerging, and coming from the Middle East, I learned the hard way that a new Middle East not necessarily a better Middle East. Okay, so I believe there will be a new Middle East, and there will be a reapproachment, a recalibration, and we see what worked before and what didn't work during this conflict, and we see that, for example, China is important trade partner for many of the Arab countries. When it comes to the political way, we saw, for example, they broke a deal between Riyadh and Tehran a few years ago, and it was called a new normalization between the two countries and reopening the embassies and so on. And then today we see, that Iranian drones and missiles are firing at Saudi Arabia. So I don't think that any of the players that you mentioned can fill the place for the United States. And there is a clear realization, I think, among the Arab nations that, yeah, there are partners, but there are strategic partners. There are important players in the region, but there are a limited room for their maneuvers. Let me give you an example of Egypt, for example. Egypt sees the relationship with the United States as important, as strategic, and in so many aspects. When it comes to Russia, Russia is an important country for Egypt because we are net food importer, and many of the wheat. We are the largest wheat importer in the world, and many of the wheat comes from Russia. We have this agreement to build the nuclear power plant, the nuclear power plant, which is a long-term agreement that is being fulfilled. There is also tourism, and Egypt, reliant on tourism as a source of for the foreign exchange. Same thing goes to China. China is one of the largest trade partners with Egypt. We import a lot of things from China, and also Chinese companies are involved in several infrastructure projects here in Egypt, and there is also many or few billions of Chinese debt in Egypt. But again, you can see that these are the countries that we're dealing with, but still the Egyptian-US partnership and the Egyptian-US relation, it's more it's strategic, it's important, it's broader, but again, in a region like ours, you need to deal with different players, but I don't think that with the new kind of Middle East, there will be a larger footprint for um, the countries that you mentioned. Uh, and I think there will be also, again, a reapproachment and the recalibration uh, toward these countries.
Thank you. So we don't have many questions in the chat box, so we come to the conclusion of today's very interesting, candid, and exciting discussion with Mr. Mohammed Farid. So before we wrap up, a few final words on the possibilities of India playing a slightly bigger role, maybe as a balancer or a moderator in the Middle Eastern affairs. Your take on that? Thank you.
I think there is over the past few years we saw emergence of a deeper cooperation between India and the Middle Eastern countries, especially the Arab Gulf countries. And I think that Indian role in the region will be welcomed. I believe there are a lot of potential for growth, a lot of potential for cooperation in so many aspects, and even between Egypt and India, we saw over the past, I guess, 3 years or something, or 4 years, a lot of cooperation between both countries, and I believe this is something that one of the positive things we can see in the post-war Middle East, or a new Middle East, that there will be a deeper cooperation between the Arab countries and India, and I think I mean, name it, every aspect of cooperation, whether on economic, strategic level, name it. There is a lot of potential, and I think there is a great room for that, and I think that would be very welcomed, and it will be. I think that it will be a very positive to see that kind of cooperation growing and deepen in the upcoming few years.
Thank you. So thank you very, very much, Mohammed. And it was really a very enlightening discussion. Trust me, I learned a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. And we look forward to organizing more of such discussions and inviting you to India to our offline
Thank you.
events and conferences, which we organize every year in partnership with the Ministry of External Affairs India. And definitely, we look forward to more of your writings, your lectures, speeches, and learning from your insights. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a great honor and a pleasure being with you. And thank you very much for the thought-provoking questions and tackling the real issues. And I likewise, I enjoyed it a lot. I learned a lot, and looking forward to see you all guys here in Cairo someday, hopefully soon.
Definitely, definitely. So once again, thank you. And as we say it in India, namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you for
Good
having
night.
me. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Take care.